participating. Again, with all your joyful effort, and thank you so much. And again, we're going to continue to teaching, and as we always, not we, in the teaching say that just activating our weaker motivations and increasing or rise up our body motivation. With that motivation, we studying, we contemplating, we meditating or practicing. So that's so important as a foundation. It is so important for central columns. Also, it is so important to fulfill the goal and wish or the fruit of the practices. So those are that is so important. With this thought, and that those are such as then the joy and the appreciations. Joy and the appreciation, being gratitude. And then vastness motivation of the bodhicitta. Actually, of course, there's two bodhicitta. Absolute bodhicitta and relative true bodhicitta. But this time we highlighted of the vastness motivation of the bodhicitta, which is relative to the bodhicitta. Relative true bodhicitta is, again, of course, we all know, is the best union of the compassion and the wisdoms. And what in the teaching said, compassion which is projected to all the beings, seeing the situation and the circumstances and challenges that every living being is going through or going through that. And so really feel strong compassion, and very sensible, strong compassion, like to help to all sentient beings. But even though we like to help and support that, we don't have the capabilities to help and support it. We are like this in the teaching always, we are like kind of like handcuffed mother, her dear child is losing in a river. When her child is losing in the water or river, and handcuffed mother can't do anything. She feels so strongly like to do something, but we don't have any capabilities. So that for that reason, to kind of get wise ourselves, and then like to get enlightenment. To do enlightenment, to remove all the obscurations ourselves, projecting like to help to all the beings. That I like to remove all the obscurations, obstacles, and so I can get enlightenment, can benefit for all sentient beings. With the pervasive continuations and spontaneously, I'm going to benefit for all living beings. Having that attitude, intention, thought, strongly and rooted up there, and that is known as relative true bodhicitta. Of course, we all know this. Relative true bodhicitta. Relative true bodhicitta is then practice like wishing bodhicitta is a practice by the boundless practice. Again, we all know this. Yes. And when we are kind of activating bodhicitta, in those great masters always say the what? Say that kind of equalize us. All the sentient beings ourselves are equal. We are all equal. Same way, every aspect we are really equal. So bring more equanimity attitude in the heart and mind. And what is that? Actually, when you put in practices among the four boundless, the fourth boundless, may all living beings are free from the attachments to the close ones, rejection to the others. Others, that is equanimity practice. But equanimity, we all equal. We all the same. Same. That sameness attitude is so important in the teaching set. Because our ego clinging, always we feel the important. We're the first, and all the others are seconds. We've been doing that from the beginner's times, according to teaching. But now we're really reversing genuine compassion in heart and mind. We are all equal. Those are in the practice teachings in bodhicitta were called positive equalizing, equal, all equal. We all beings are equal. We like happiness, everybody likes happiness. We like peace, everybody likes peace. We like not get suffering, or we don't like the suffering. Everybody don't like the suffering. So our feelings level, intention, desire, and then where we are, we share the common ground of this world and everything. Really, every level we are equal. And that thought is the equanimity. For many times in the teaching said, according literature, the four boundless are listed as first the love, then second boundless love, boundless compassion second, and third is boundless joy in the fourth is equanimity. But when we put it in practice, always in the teaching mentioned this, really, many great masters may first bring more attitude of the equalated thought, intention. When we have more kind of equalated thought, then compassion and the loving kindness comes in there more easily in the teaching. So those are practices like instructions, practical is kind of like their secret or their instructions. So then we really will have that. And then joy all comes. And then second is what in the practices, what in the teaching said. Then the others are more important than one's own self. First the equal, second others are more important than us. That means that our ego clinging is going down. Self-importance went down. Instead, for all our habit pattern, we are more important, ourselves, or according to habit pattern. But now we're reversing that. And that never happened in the history of our birth, according to teaching, until we meet the teaching of the Buddha. Others are more important than us. So we reverse that. Before that, we are more important than others. But now we reverse. Others are more important than us. With this thought, and then this four boundless, like, may all living with happiness and cause happiness. Have that recited. Like that, and all according to teaching, again, Great Master Raga said that, then thinking that all our joy and our happiness and everything I shared to everyone to make happy. All that. Really with that thought. May all living beings have happiness, cause of happiness, sincerely thinking that others are more important with that attitude and sharing our joy and peace, happiness, our merit choice. All the merits that all goes to them. So they have a forever joy and peace, happiness. And then chant such as, may all living beings are free from sufferings, cause of sufferings. Chant that, and all their suffering, the difficult troubles, are you bringing in to yourself. In. So no more sufferings, no more difficult challenge left to anyone outside. And chant the praise of this among four boundless praise. Boundless compassion. Compassion is particularly projected for the different troubles of the living, all the sentient beings. So may all living beings are free from sufferings and cause of sufferings. Not just suffering, but cause of sufferings. And that is what, in the Buddha teaching, suffering true, cause of suffering true. Four noble truths, two truths. We are completely uprooting. May all living beings are free from suffering. Suffering is suffering truth. Difficulty, troubles, all the sentient beings that go through. And cause of suffering truth. So samsara cause and the samsara result. If they are gone, samsara is gone. If there is no cause of suffering, there is no cause of suffering, then there is no suffering, and the samsara is gone. Eliminated it. So that uprooting that with that attitude, thought, intention, but strongly in heart and mind, and chant, may all living beings free from suffering, cause of suffering. If we chant that, even for in the teaching said, even for 1 minute or 1 second, whatever it takes time to chant that prayer, and sincerely thinking that in heart, purely thinking, is so powerful to remove obscurations, our obstacles, our troubles, and gain the merit. Merit is so powerful. I mean, and also in the teachings that we read the life story of those gracious teacher Buddha when he was process to reaching enlightenment, working for the enlightenment. And how many times, I mean, even Buddha in the teaching said, if he had attitude thought of when he was born in hell realms, and he and his friends are pulling the iron chariot, they both are, and others are so weak Khenpo, but those agents of the hell realms are beating him, and Buddha feels so compassion. Oh, he don't have strength. Why they beat him? And I'm going to take over that whole thing myself. I will take over that in his positions. That is in the teaching said, beginner of his bodhicitta, but also that is equalizing. We both are equal, and giving up he himself to the front runner. So he changed attitude. That moment in the teaching said, because of that purified all the obstacles, obscuration, and karma to be born in that places. Instantly it changed. How powerful it is for the purification. So good bodhicitta, thinking of this truly sincere in the heart is so powerful in the teaching, really said. So powerful. It heals all the emotions, purified negativities, accumulated merits. Instantly. That is equalize this. And then this is again, I said, is just a really beginning of the bodhicitta. Before we say self, always we are self-important attitude. But now we are changing that positions. Others are more important with that thought. Then same way, may all living beings have the always happiness, cause of happiness. That means we are happy. We wish to be them always happy. Because we're praying. I wish you can all your joy in your activity, my activity, your practices, or now they become more happy. In the joy, I'm so happy. Fulfilling the goal of the wish of the bodhicitta. That is so powerful attitude. It's free from jealousness. And also it's so pure. Pure wishing that is so powerful in the teaching said that even one thought, intention of the thought, it will take rebirth ourselves in heavens and purify the birth to the lower realms, or the cause to birth lower realms. That moment. So those are known as bodhicitta, in which is relative bodhicitta. Relative bodhicitta is the foundation of our practice, and always said the teaching. If we have the bodhicitta, then we do the Dzogchen practice like absolute true bodhicitta, then it becomes so powerful. But if we don't have the relative bodhicitta and the practice of Dzogchen, that's absolute true bodhicitta, it's kind of almost like not exactly matching up. It's not really completely 100% full. It's like 50 or 6% full, but 40% or 60% is lack. It's out. So therefore, to make full bloom of the Dzogchen meditation practice is really the bodhicitta is so important. Of course, we all heard this so many times. We already know that, but also it's always important to remind it to each other so that we can strengthen the myths of the heavy habit patterns of the emotions raging every direction. They are really like, as in the teaching said, we are in jaw of the emotions ourselves. We are always in the jaw of any moment, any of those jaw can bite us. Anger, jealous, hated thoughts, attachment that can really bite us so strongly. And then we again become victims of the emotion. Instead, we are releasing and defeating the negative emotions, become the victim of that. So therefore, to reminding, refreshing the memory, and re-strengthening of these is known as part of the practices. That's how we practice. With this thought, and then again, of course, the motivation.